Good morning. My name is Yvan Baker. I'm the MPP for Etobicoke Centre, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Ken Whitehurst, who's the Executive Director of the Consumers Council of Canada. As you may know, I've introduced a number of private members' bills since being elected about 3.5 years ago, and a number of them have focused on consumer protection. Last year I tabled a private members' bill to ban door-to-door sales to protect people from harassing and coercive practices at the doors. I also introduced a bill to ban harassing telemarketing calls from air duct cleaning companies and others like that. Today I'm focusing on consumers again. This afternoon in the legislature I will introduce a private members bill, the What You See is What You Pay Act. The bill will require all-inclusive pricing for all products and services in Ontario. If passed, my bill would help consumers make more informed choices without having to worry about hidden taxes and fees. Now, before we get into the details, I want to share a couple of stories with you. This is a time of year around Christmas when a lot of people are buying gifts, when they're booking trips with their family and with their friends. And let's imagine that you decide to book a holiday trip. Maybe you're taking your family up to Blue Mountain or taking a trip down to Niagara Falls for the weekend, and you see a steal of a deal advertised online to book a hotel. You click through the website and check to see if they have availability that night, and you're in luck. Exactly the dates you were hoping for are available. But you're a smart shopper, you want to get the best price, and so you decide you want to shop around. And you want to find the best deal. So you do some research and find that there's another hotel in the same area with an even better nightly rate advertised. They've even got rooms available for the nights that you're looking for. So you've got to act fast though, because the website tells you that there's only 3 rooms available at that rate. Plus you see a note that says nearly 30 people have looked at the deal in the last hour. So you figure you've got the best deal, and you make your decision to book the rooms, take a deep breath, and click Proceed to Checkout. Just as you're about to get out your credit card, you see the total price that you're going to be charged. And for some reason, it's much higher than what you expected. It's much higher than what you were quoted initially. And so you're confused. And you take a closer look, and upon inspection, what you discover is that you were charged the correct room rate, but there are a number of unexpected fees and charges on your bill that you've never heard about. There's a booking fee, a service fee, or a regional tourism promotion fee, and of course there's the HST that has to be tacked on. So you used up a lot of time and you kind of feel confused, misinformed, maybe even misled. And after spending all this time doing your due diligence, you wonder how you ended up here. How about this one? You're on your smartphone and you're hunting for that gift for Christmas like we all are at the last minute. And you look at all kinds of websites like Etsy or Amazon, and you compare gift options and find the gift that you're looking for. And then you start to compare prices. You shop around until you find the best price, and you make a decision and click through to proceed to checkout. But when it's time to pull out your credit card, it turns out that a few charges that you weren't anticipating are now on your bill. So for example, there's a service fee and there's a delivery charge, making your purchase far more expensive than you expected, and far more expensive than some of the other gifts that were options for you out there when you were shopping. So then a timer comes up telling you that you have to finalize your purchase, otherwise the price quoted will no longer be valid. And so you feel like you're rushed, you feel like you used a lot of time, you feel misinformed, you feel maybe even misled. One more example. I know around this time one of the gifts that people buy for each other are tickets to a sporting event or to a music concert at the Air Canada Centre or something like that. So you go to Ticketmaster and you find the tickets you want. So for example, right now there are tickets for $209 for the Eagles concert coming up at the ACC. So then you go to purchase them and discover there are a whole bunch of unexpected fees. There's a processing fee, there's a convenience charge, there's a facility fee, and those tickets that were $209 each are now $248 each. So for 2 tickets, that's $80 in fees that you weren't told about until you went to finalize the purchase. If you'd known about all those fees up front, you probably would have chosen different seats, or maybe a different date for the concert, or maybe a different event altogether, or maybe you would have just gone out to see a movie. So again, you spent a lot of time, you feel confused, misinformed, misled. Some consumers have even told me that they feel like they've been baited. We have a few examples with us today of how the listing price can often be different from the final price. So here to my left, we have an example of a hotel room. It's listed at $169 Canadian per night. And when you look to the bottom right over here, you see that when you get to the final screen after shopping around, that there are a number of charges that you wouldn't expect. So the cash rate is $169.15. That's what you were quoted when you chose the room. But then you see that there's a service charge, there's a destination amenity fee, there's the HST, the government taxes and fees. That brings a hotel room that was originally quoted at $169 a night to $220 a night. That's a big difference. That's a $50 difference in the price. And that is the kind of thing that would be good for consumer to know up front. Down below is a stand mixer. So this is listed, again, on a website. It's listed at $307.04. But then when you go through all the process and you shop around, you decide you're going to buy it. And as you look down to the bottom right corner here, when you go to place your order, you discover there's additional fees there. There's shipping and handling of $43.09 that you weren't anticipating. And then there's an additional HST that's charged not only on the original $307, but also on the delivery. So your total ends up being $395.65. So you can see a big difference in the listing price, from the listing price to the final price. Over on this side, to Ken's right, you can see we have another example. This is a TV that's advertised for $1899.99. And you can see that there's tax that has to be added on, HST, but there's also an eco fee that a lot of people don't anticipate. And so the total price for this TV ends up being $21.78 from a listing price of $18.99. So several $100 difference. So all of these examples are meant to illustrate that this is pretty common, that when we go into a store or when we shop online especially, we're quoted a price, but then often the final price we pay is higher than what we anticipated, higher than what was quoted. And I think that this needs to change, because I think people feel sometimes like they haven't had all the information they needed to make an informed decision. Sometimes they even feel like they've been misled. And when I started to consult on experts on this issue, like Ken, and at the Consumers Council, and at the folks at the Public Interest Advocacy Center, I heard that they've been recommending all-in pricing for some time now. And I'm really pleased to have their support here today. So for all these reasons, this afternoon I will introduce the What You See is What You Pay Act. If passed, the bill would amend the Consumer Protection Act to require any price displayed or advertised to a consumer in Ontario to be the all-inclusive price, which would include all taxes, all service fees, and any additional charges the consumer needs to incur to acquire the product. Other countries already do this. Australia has all-inclusive pricing, and most countries in Europe require that the price quoted always include the value-added tax, or their version of the HST. Ontario actually already has all-inclusive pricing for a range of products. For example, when we buy gasoline at the pump, you get quoted an all-inclusive price. When you buy alcohol at the LCBO, you're quoted the all-inclusive price. And there's federal regulation that require that flights be quoted at the all-inclusive price as well. This bill actually builds on measures introduced by our Ministry of Government and Consumer Services as well, which introduced recently a requirement that all travel packages be priced all in, including all service charges and taxes and fees. Now, under the proposed bill, businesses would have the option of displaying the breakdown for the total price. So they would be able to include a breakdown of the base price, the taxes, and any other fees that are being charged. But if they chose to do so, I would require in this bill that the font used for the all-inclusive price be at least the same or larger than all those other figures, so that the all-inclusive price is obvious to the consumer. The bill would apply to every business and individual selling products in Ontario, and would apply to products, services offered or displayed or advertised through any channel, whether it be bricks and mortar in a store or online. Now, the bill would be enforced primarily by consumer initiative. Should a consumer encounter a business that does not comply with this bill, they can either take a photo of the mislabeled product or service, or a screenshot if they're shopping online, and submit the complaint to Consumer Protection Ontario. And the bill could also be enforced by inspectors from Consumer Protection Ontario should they so choose to do so. If the ministry or if the Consumer Protection Ontario determines that a business has not displayed the all-inclusive price, in other words, they have not complied with the legislation, the business would receive a warning from the ministry informing them that they have to comply within 30 days. So again, when a business initially contravenes the act, they wouldn't be fined, they'd simply be warned, and they'd be given an additional 30 days to comply with the law. If after those 30 days have passed, the business is once again reported and it is determined by Consumer Protection that they have not abided by the law, that they're not disclosing the all-inclusive price, the ministry would determine that offense has occurred and would issue an appropriate fine, not to exceed certain maximums based on the size of the business. So my goal in imposing the fines is really to ensure that the fines act as a deterrent, but they're not designed to be punitive. And that's why what I've proposed in this bill is that the fines be different for different sizes of businesses. So for example, a micro business, so a business with 1 to 4 employees, would pay a fine of up to $150 plus the all-inclusive value of the product that was mispriced. While a large business, so a business of over 500 employees, would pay a fine of up to $25,000 plus the all-inclusive value of the product that was not displayed correctly. So the fines are proportionate to the size of the business, but they're also proportionate to the value of the product that has been mislabeled. Now, as is the case for any violation under the Consumer Protection Act, any business committing an offense under this bill would be placed on the Consumer Beware List, which is kept by the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services, so everybody can know whether or not which businesses are complying or not complying. Now, in consulting with businesses and stakeholders that would be affected by this bill, I recognize for a number of them, for many of them, it'll take some time to transition the way they price their products and services to comply with this legislation. And that is why the bill would come into force 1 year after receiving royal assent, allowing a 1-year phase-in period to ensure that businesses have time to comply. And when I talk about compliance, I really believe that the cost on business will be very minimal as a result of this legislation. For bricks and mortar businesses, for your typical store, really what this requires is changing the price on the pricing gun to make sure that it reflects the HST and any charges that might be included. For online businesses, it means just making sure that the price that is charged at the end is the one that's quoted at the beginning. So just like I showed on this chart over here to my left, you can see that what I would be asking the business to do would be quoting the final price instead of just quoting the listed price, which is what they do today. The intention of this bill is to apply to all products and services across Ontario. And I recognize there may be some businesses or sectors that for some reason this bill should not apply to, or wouldn't make sense to apply the bill to. And that's why this bill would allow the Minister of Government and Consumer Services to exempt certain businesses or certain product and service categories from following the requirements set out in this bill if she feels that it is required. In summary, people all over Ontario, especially at this time of year, are buying a lot of gifts for their loved ones. They're booking travel plans. They're making a lot of purchases. And everyone knows how terrible it feels when you have to pay much more for a product than you thought you would when you started purchasing it. If passed, my bill would require that the price you are charged for a good or service is the price displayed. And that will ensure that consumers don't have to worry about hidden taxes or fees. It will ensure that they make more informed choices, and it will ensure that what you see is what you pay. So with that, I want to pass it along to Ken Whitehurst from the Consumers Council of Canada just to talk about why all-inclusive pricing is an important issue.
Yeah, there's just so much change happening with pricing, and there's even the prices that you're offered in the online environment may be personalized to you based on your personal behavior. They may change any moment. So the challenge of knowing what is a price that you can count on for the purposes of making a choice for competition in our economy, it's getting to be a lot more problematic for consumers. This is a tough time of year. The holidays, we're all in a rush. And it really is a time, however, when you need to plan a little bit before you go to purchase. You want to know what the reference prices are for what you plan to shop for before you shop. The Consumers Council of Canada has advocated for all-in pricing for many years. Our organization believes action is required to improve price presentations to consumers. Too many price presentations today are confusing and even misleading. The Council has noted examples in auto advertising, rent-to-own product offers, which often is targeting people of very modest means, and many online travel service presentations, just as examples. Hidden charges make it difficult for consumers to comparison shop and to understand the agreement they're reaching with a merchant. Without an all-in price presentation, consumers may inadvertently find themselves paying for more than they expected, leading to lengthy and expensive processes of dispute resolution, for instance, costly to buyers and sellers alike. Confusing price offers annoy consumers who sometimes feel cheated by them. Price presentations that are poorly presented or constantly changed and manipulated prevent a fair and efficient marketplace. The many businesses that are scrupulous in the offers they make to consumers should not be at a disadvantage to those who are not. The Council believes businesses should compete to provide consumers quality products and services, not tricky, confusing price presentations.
Thanks very much, Ken.
Yeah.
With that, I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.